Hello hero, it's Lucy Lannon. It's good to see you. You've seen the title, so at this stage you know more about today's reading than I do, since I speak to you from the recent alternate past. This is a general, timeless one, ideally designed for quite a large audience, so we won't get as specific as we would in a private booking, link down below. If most of what I'm saying feels like an answer to a question you've been living, take those tidbits with you and let a fellow traveller excavate the rest. If it's not your reading, there are playlists on my channel hub to randomise finding something else. Whilst it's true that a broken clock is right twice a day, I'm not sure that same clock is right 10 times within the hour. So trust yourself, above all, to know what's useful for you and what makes you feel more empowered for hearing it, no matter what your beliefs. While we're on beliefs, on this channel gendered terms are just a specificity of language to describe energetic tendencies and signatures, solar or lunar inclination in accordance with a hermetic law of polarity, and not any kind of socialisation to buy into wholesale or conflate with the identity or orientation of anyone described. Romantic and spiritual labels used are plucked from lengthy precedent predating any unfortunate trending controversies or engineered cyclical backlash. My dude, around these parts, we don't relinquish the complexity of our full histories. We trust ourselves cognitively to adapt what we consume and see what's healthy and long-term accurate. I'm legally obliged to say this is entertainment in quote marks and that I'm an occultist not qualified in unrelated disciplines to advise on physical and mental health, finances, legalities. You get the picture, you're in charge of you. All my readings are protected and warded by frankly magnificent beneficial forces, though I don't share my custom prep rituals on camera any more than I give out my address. I hope the reasoning behind that is obvious, but you can trust there are zero parasitic or adversarial influences permitted within 100 unseen paces of any signal we patch from the noise here today. So sit back, relax into the shape of your most luminous possible future self, cozy up to imaginal allies, and take in whatever it is you need to hear. If you do like it, this small channel with a big mission very much appreciates subscriptions, thoughtful comments, or donations in order to spread the word and keep the lights on. Now, let's tune that dial. Alright, so I had to go and just grab this, which is a code for the Fairies Oracle we will be working with. We're also working with the Aquarian Tarot and my DIY colour deck, which is sort of based on a system of colours that is, as you can see, it's slightly more expansive than the usual guidelines of about 10 colours. You can actually book with me for a colour reading in my shop as well, link down below. Your word from the Crystal Maze style esoteric tombola and psychic lucky dip was revenge. So that's going to be an interesting one, I think. Let's get your fairy card first, because it wanted to come out first. I don't know whether you saw it sort of leaping in the shuffle a bit. So we have Hobbier, or G Hobbier. Yeah, G Hobbier, 61, in reverse. But he looks like that when he's upright. Let's have a neb. I don't normally do from the book, but some oracles require it, so please don't hold it against me. I promise you I can read. 61. Imaginary fears, unreal hazards, and realistic caution. It's... Okay, so the upright reading is the context for the other one. So I'm going to read both, but just know that yours is the second bit that I'm going to be reading. So the upright would be, it is time to look for the truth behind our fears to distinguish what's real and what is just our projection of old traumas and fears into our imaginary future. By delving into our old patterns, we can see past them to a more liberating life. Only by facing these fears honestly and seeing them for what they are, do we... Excuse me. Sorry, I get hiccups for confirmation. It's like, why are you confirming it? I'm just reading it out. Anyway. Do we gain greater ability to open our hearts to the singer of courage, which is another one of the fairies, and gain in strength to face the really difficult challenges in our lives? Each false fear confronted and resolved makes us much stronger. Now that is not exactly your interpretation. Your interpretation is, on the other hand, perhaps there is a wicked thing in the closet, waiting for the lights to be turned out. Check things out carefully. Sometimes our fears are justified and you got revenge, right? It's important for us to learn to distinguish between the imaginary and the real. So if that's not a warning, I don't know what is. Let's look into your tarot first. I'm going to get 5 for now. Can I have the undercurrent, please, and the overground? Underground, overground, 1 room 3. Then I want 3 for the middle. All of them. Right, that's a weird way to do it. 1 more. I'm not taking those. Don't be like this. Excuse me. Sorry, love. Oh, crikey. Every time. Right, so the undercurrent of what is going on, sorry if I flashed you there, is the Ace of Cups reversed. Love is lost in this scenario. There is somebody who is not feeling very emotionally expressive, loving and kind towards, I suspect, you if you're watching. The overarching theme, which this is the more, so that was more covert, this is like the overt surface stuff, is the world. That's interesting. So there is an ending here. There is a finishing of a particular dynamic or relationship. The last reading I put up might be relevant to you as well, because we got a prominent world card there. I think it was the undercurrent last time, and it seems to have surfaced and gone above ground this time around. Then we have the 4 of Wands, the Page of Swords, which again was in the last one, and Strength. Okay. So we're needing to discern whether somebody is actually out to get us, right? That seems to be what's happening with the fairies and with that word revenge. And we've already established that yes, someone is feeling pretty crappy about this whole thing for some reason. And there's gonna come like a point of completion around that, which is the theme of the whole thing. Now, this seems to be someone where there was quite a stable past with them, or there was quite a, this card is giving community more than it is normally, because I'm seeing these flowers that look a bit sort of festival-y. This could be a coven or coven thing. If you're in a coven, it could be something like it to do with the magical practitioners around you, because I'm getting like solstice and equinox type stuff from the way that this is arranged. But also if there was somebody that you had contact with mostly at seasonal celebrations or like familial get-togethers or something where I'm getting like lawn chairs and cocktail sausages, you know what I mean? Like kids doing power slides across the dance floor kind of thing. That's a very working class British expression of a particular idea, but it's like parties in backyards kind of a thing, or meeting up with family sort of once, twice a year for big events. But it's not giving weddings and funerals and things. It's giving like a seasonal thing, or like a religious observation, a festival, a particular working that is staggered over a certain point of time that you have to do. This light falling here on me from the angle between the trees at my window reminds me as well of fairies and of like an aura photo thing that I had where there was something visible that wasn't to do with all of that when I was a kid, that I thought of as like the fairy at my throat. And there was an idea there that I sort of more understand now as an adult, of something inexpressed was happening with me and with my throat chakra at that time in my childhood. And there was like a fairy or an intermediary, I would say, spirit figure or familiar or imaginary friend type figure that allowed me to express myself by expressing for me. So something about that, and something about me noticing that on the mirror image of the camera, is telling me that not only did you see this person at these like regular festivals or religious observances or whatever it is, maybe even church, right? But that in those environments there was some kind of facilitator for your expression that wasn't you. Whether that be like a spouse or somebody that speaks for you in terms of like reading out things that you've written, or I'm getting sermon from that actually, that you were writing or co-writing someone's sermon or something. Like there's something about like something that you can't say that somebody else steps in and says for you. Now I don't think the person stepping in is the person we're talking about when we talk revenge. That's what's interesting. It's just that that's the contextualization for you from me getting light at my throat and my voice now cracking. So that's, yeah, that's the one. So whoever it is that's vengeancey, shall we say, antagonistic towards you at the moment, there used to be someone that you saw at those kinds of things, and there used to be someone you saw around when you had less of an ability to express your thoughts and statements yourself directly. This might even be like a medical thing, or like if you write or review or something, it could be like somebody else reading out your work, or like maybe a publishing thing. Like that's semi-regular. I don't know. There's a lot of you out there. I'm reading for a general audience, and if you want something specific, the best thing is to book with me. But yeah, there's something like that. Something with regularity, something with that kind of celebration, but also something with that expression element. I'm just going to take a sip of water because that throat chakra stuff is... Woo. Crikey, O'Reilly. Right. O'Reilly might be relevant for some of you, I don't know why. I'm going to get confirmation on that. What's this Page of Swords about? I feel like this is someone you're in current communication with, and you know that something's iffy here. So that might literally be what the Page of Swords is, because that's like instant messaging, stuff like that. But there's also something about... They know you're being guided. Whoever this is that wants revenge or is doing revenge, knows that you have spiritual guidance, because from my perspective, they're looking at the fairy card. So if you do kind of tune in with your intuition a lot, or if you're a fellow card reader or something along those lines or adjacent, this is someone who's aware of that and is anticipating that skill set in the way that you function. And again, if this is a ritual thing and you are in a coven and then someone's sort of fallen out with you within that group, with or without your knowledge is what I'm hearing, they're very aware of your skill set in terms of like you being told that this is going to happen, and they're trying to do like dickhead chess with you, you know? It's giving Wyndham Earl in Twin Peaks season 2. It's like they're several steps ahead, but in such an extravagant, silly way that it's not quite working out for them. And something about Wyndham as well, and you don't need to have seen the series for this to be relevant, is that he's so sure of his path to himself that actually spoilers, but he gets his comeuppance very quickly, and it's not from the people he's actually targeting, interestingly enough. It's from the magic that he wants to be able to use. So it's almost as if this is a ritual context, with me seeing that Wyndham Earl stuff, there's a sense of this person like they're just so sure about everything and the universe is kind of laughing at that, or about to like show them that they don't need to be so sure. Yeah, and now I'm seeing the image, if you have seen the series, of Wyndham Earl dancing around in long johns playing pipe. It's a fantastic series, by the way, if you haven't. And there's this thing about like music or bands, or maybe they're in this person could be in a band that's a bit naff, and now I'm hearing half man, half biscuit. You've got a shit arm and that's a bad tattoo. So for some of you, not all of you, but for some of you, and hit me up in the comments if this is you, it's resonating that this person might be a magical practitioner, and or they might be like a band member with you, or someone that like sees you at musical things, and part of their like, I'm so sure, like, is that they think they're very musically gifted, and I'm not sure that that's objectively true, and I'm not sure that the way that they style themselves is as slick as they think. I think they might be a bit naff. I think they might be a bit like, you know, like the older guys in Top Gear wearing leather jackets. Is that sort of... It's giving that energy. I'm sorry if that's really insulting to someone you care about, but this is all like confirmation of who it is for some of you, and again, it won't resonate for everybody, so I'm reading for a lot of people, but I'm enjoying how Spirit is bringing in this imagery for me, because it's just painting such a picture. Okay, so to confirm the Page of Swords before I lose my mind, we've got the Empress and Three of Pentacles. That's really interesting. I'm not sure that clarifies much, Spirit, but go off. What are we saying? Sorry, I should have actually showed you these, shouldn't I? I'm so distracted now with that image. And we've got 5 of Swords as well. Oh, okay, so that's the backup for that. Right, got you. So I was getting this naff band member energy. That might be literally true for some of you, and now I'm... Sorry. Okay, now, to go with the naff leather jacket energy, I'm now getting the bit in the movie Queen of the Damned, not the book, the movie, let's be real, where Lestat is underground for however many hundreds of years he's sleeping or whatever, and what wakes him up from his vampiric slumber is like shit new metal. And I can't remember even what he says because I haven't seen it since I was a teenager. But he like rouses from his slumber and he's like, what is that divine music? And it's something like Korn or like, I think actually it's like isn't it a collaboration between Korn and Chester Bennington, R.I.P., you know, good voice, but like the way that they collaborate on that soundtrack is very much of a certain era, shall we say. So I'm getting like this person is like, I'm so cold to this kind of music, and they think they're an artiste, but it's very much sort of seen by a lot of people, particularly now, particularly in the modern day, as a bit naff, or like, I think the word is chuggy, is it? I don't know because I am chuggy, but it's like, oh really, you're so cold to like naff new metal, or you're like woken up by someone going, wake me up. Like that's what you break hundreds of years for. I'm so sorry if this is someone you care about. I'm losing my mind. But yeah, that's the additional bit I'm getting, is that like, it doesn't have to be that they're in a band. It doesn't have to be that they like that specific quality of shit music, or that they think they're a musician or anything like that. It's someone who's in a group who thinks that they're particularly talented within that group, but it's giving like naff, biker jacket, dad energy. And I that's not a slate on bikers because I grew up around them. But you know that sort of like not cool dad, where it's the biker jacket but it's also chinos, and they probably listen to like really, really bad yacht rock, and not ironically. Spirit, why are you getting me to be so savage today? I don't read like this, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's that sort of energy, even if it's not that sort of character or that sort of inclination taste-wise. It's just giving like, I'm so good at this, I'm so sure. I think either way, this person is part of a group where they are seen as like the group leader with the Empress and 3 of Pentacles. So there's a collaborative effort where their creativity comes out to the forefront. So again, it's giving like front man really, or leader of a ritual group, or they think they're the leader, or something socially that they've organised where they are at the forefront and structuring it and welcoming everybody and being star. But it's kind of like that collaboration hasn't gone well in the past, and I think that somehow they're blaming you, or they're seeing that you have more creativity or have more of an ease in these environments, or are just naturally kind of cool, and it seems like they're not very cool. And they know, and they're like, not knowing that you're not cool is actually quite cool, in the sense that you can almost loop back around to like Napoleon Dynamite energy, where you're so uncool that you're so yourself, you're so authentic, you're such a strange combination of influences that other people consider outdated, that actually you become this like unique, almost desirable thing. And I admire that. I go for that a lot in people actually. But then there's like not going the full way around the circle in that sense. Do you see what I mean? There's like being uncool and not having that realization, or coming to the realization that I'm not very cool, and not like embracing it and going with it and doing this sort of like the girl in Dinner in America is a really good example of like uncool cool. She's amazing, I love her. but she's not coded as being something aspirational in that film, even though you come to completely adore her, more so than the male character, who is like objectively exhibiting these cool, well, some cool things, some very uncool things, but let's not get into the politics of that representation. I think maybe this person has just realised they're a bit naff. I think they've come to it. They've kind of, sorry, it's very warm here. Whether it's through the group feeding that back, or whether it's that they've just suddenly had like a wake-up call, a revelation in that Lestat way of like, what is this beautiful sound? It's just come to them, perhaps through seeing that you do fit in there, that they really don't, or that some of their ideas or methods are outdated, or that they're not moving in the direction that a particular discipline or group is moving in. They're sort of part of the old generation of it. And I don't mean that in an ageist way. I'm not like trying to war between generations, because frankly, fuck knows, I'm too old to be reading for most of you, right? But I'm in my late 30s, it's getting real. But there's something here about like people who used to do a certain thing a certain way, and the value system around that has massively changed, and now they're sort of deemed irrelevant in a sense. And this person is realising that that's what's going on. Which again, it could be really relevant within magical communities, because a lot of the ways that ritualizations used to take place are built around systems that aren't very progressive in some instances. And as things get more integrative and progressive and sort of, not generalised, but inclusive, intersectional if you like, those older ideas are seen as naff at the best end and problematic at the worst end. And I think that this person is like getting the idea that they are falling on that spectrum, or that other people are seeing that they're in that spectrum. So it's something, I mean, it is creative, and that can be magic, it can be art, it can be business, it can be all sorts of stuff. Even just like self-expression, the way they carry themselves in relationships, and they could see you as an antithesis to the way that hasn't been working. But I think they used to have power in a group, or in a dynamic, or in a field, a specialisation of knowledge, something, because they wouldn't have got this impression that they are shit hot unless they were at one point, right? Which is why it's giving age. It's not a actual age thing, it's an experience thing. But it's like almost they came to that pinnacle thing, like Windmill really, and then became outdated or became too focused on a particular thing. And for some reason, they're blaming that on you. There is an evaluation going on with them. Did I win or lose here? Did I go too far with something that I thought was successful and come right back around to not being successful? It's, for those of you who are affiliated with Conor O'Malley's comedy, it's very rap world. If you haven't watched Rap World, by the way, I would highly recommend it, particularly if you came of age in the mid to late 2000s, or you weren't around and conscious and older for the mid to late 2000s and think they were cool, because they weren't. And Rap World is just chef's kiss on why not. Yeah, but it's like that. It's like the Rap World character that Conor O'Malley plays in that. It's sort of, that's the non-alternative version of what we're speaking about here. So now we've got that very vivid picture of somebody, and now my timer has run out because I've been just laughing at what Spirit's come up with. Let's see what the revenge they're planning on you actually is for this like slight of just being kind of more integrated than they are really. All three? Why is that separate? Don't get too complex on me here. Right, so foundational is the Three of Rods. It's like in the planning stage, I think. Whatever they're going to do it's not happening now, but you're being told that it might happen, which is why you've got a revenge reading. They haven't done it yet, essentially, but they're thinking they're being very clever about it. And then we've got a 5 of Wands and a 7 of Wands. So there's like a confrontation, a fight, a bickering, a defensiveness, where they think they have the higher ground. Do they? No, they have social grounding. I think this person is going to try and start an argument with you in an environment where, because of who's present, people will back them up as being right, even if they're not right. And you will know better than I do what that might be, right? If you've had a difference of opinion on a particular value, say in a ritualistic environment, it might be that they bring that up in front of people that they know already agree with them, or that they know have reservations about you, or something like that. If this is like a music related or art related thing, this could be that they curate a group of people to be in a venue at a particular time, and then they can ask you about something contentious, and you might not know that these people are all going to side with them on it, because like, you're coming to this with shared interest, that's why you're there, but they've organised that room so that they know if they ask a particular question, people will be up in arms about what your answer might be. So that it might be like, it could be the direction of a project, but it's giving more that like, maybe you have an unpopular political opinion, or maybe your ideas are slightly more progressive in a certain way, or maybe you wanted to go a certain direction that the rest of the group would be curious about but a bit hesitant with. I think they're going to bring that up around everybody. And if this is like a family party thing and it's around religious observances, and all of this like naff energy is just to do with the person who presents that way, then this might be that they get a sort of triangulation family dynamic going, where they can ask you something, the group hears your answer, and then they can say, oh, so-and-so always does this, or oh, you would say that because you've blah 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 blah, right? None of those things being necessarily true about you, but that's just the way that family systems sometimes work, right? Yeah, it's definitely giving like ganging up on you in some fashion, but where you think you're in an environment where everybody's friends, or at least where everybody's going to be civil because of the nature of the function. So, Spirit, what would your advice be? Oh, we're going colour, are we? What would your advice be to who I'm reading for in terms of how to respond within that Three of Cups moment where it becomes like they have the moral high ground, only they don't? I'm hearing now, it's over Anakin, I have the high ground. But obviously, it pains me to say this as a Star Wars fan, but Anakin did not have the high ground, but he had the most power. And that's what's relevant here, is that they strategically have power within that group, whether or not they're correct or moral. Whoa. Okay, so time is a factor as well. There's something about this setup where you're going to have a limited time to respond, or where for you to articulate why it is that you think what you think or want to do what you want to do, that would be like a lengthy process of explanation, or you might have to like drop some lore about yourself in order to contextualize a certain decision you made or something like that. And they're essentially generating a setup and a time window that doesn't enable you to contextualize it in that way. So for you to argue against this, you possibly have to reveal a lot about yourself or a lot about the context of something. And they're like, no, I'm sorry, we only have 2 minutes. It's not all about you, right? Ooh, I dislike this idiot. Green blue tone. So, green blue tone is about descent and inner balance. But because it's a tone, it's sort of balanced into the real world. It's made concrete. It's got a bit of a hermit energy to it. I wonder if maybe you're a person who's taken time out from a particular group, band, project, or family system in order to reset yourself for the benefit of contributing to that in the future, right? So you might have taken a minute. The example I'm getting with all this music stuff is like, say you sing in a group or a band or whatever, and you're taking time away because your voice hurts. So you're doing like things to repair your voice so that when you go on tour or whatever, it's back. And this person could frame that as, oh, well, you just take all the time you need to do whatever you want. And you don't have the time to explain that you were seeing signs that you could get, you know, laryngitis or whatever with the strain on it. Like, that's a really specific example which won't relate to many of you. But it's that sort of thing where you took, for some of you it's a gap year as well, where like, if you are in a familial situation, there's maybe like a value on a particular kind of education, and you took a break before you descended into that to be really sure of what you wanted. Because for blue to be in this colour, there was a process of going within. And the tone indicates that it's a practical decision. It was the correct one. It was a good time to do that. But to other people, they can frame it as being frivolous, or they can frame it as being something that you did because you can, or something that is not for the benefit of the group. I think they're going to try and claim that you're not doing what is the utilitarian best for the whole, whatever that whole is. But the whole here is them. And it's preceded by us. So what do you do to respond to this with? Like, how do you... Because that was going to be my question for colours, but I think we were just getting further context there. This one wants to come out. 6 of Wands. You talk about the victories you've had. You can't really answer that question without falling into their trap, right? But what you can say is, well, actually, I'm really glad I did take that time away, because it's at that time that I achieved this thing, or met this person, or, you know, it's given me the clarity to do what I'm now really proud of here, or that's why I was such a great singer this evening, because I took that time away, or, you know, something. I mean, that sounded egotistical, that last one, but there's something here about the situation where if you have an inkling from what I'm saying, what they're likely to bring up, you can also bring up the fact that actually you made the correct decision, you had successes as a result of that. And if you don't know what it is that they're going to sort of say, maybe Spirit's trying to get you to be thinking about, like, what are your successes over, not over them, but if they want to compare you, if they want to be like, well, I'm better because you did this, what can you say that actually counters that and demonstrates your worth to the group? Because if you can redirect the conversation to, oh, well, that's neither here nor there, but did you guys know that I did this thing? It was really interesting, let me talk to you about it. Then that's gonna kind of flummox them, I think. Especially if they do see themselves as naff, and you did something that is really not naff, or you can kind of contextualise their naffness while they're trying to get revenge on you. Justice will be served, right? This is a warning so that you're prepared for the eventuality, but in the end, the situation will turn out right. Now, let me just hone in on what I mean by right. If this is a group that are going to side with this person in more than this one circumstance, for whatever reason, then they might be a group that you need to either distance from a little bit or step away from altogether. And justice, in the divine sense, is sometimes things that happen that are a great discomfort because they needed to happen. So either this attempt at revenge on you in a sort of social way is going to be unsuccessful, or it's going to be successful, but that is seen as divine justice, because if people believe this idiot, they're not for you. And you need to, it's time to move on to greater things is what I'm hearing. It's time to transcend that and look for that role elsewhere, or that, you know, if it's family, look for that stability in places that are actually stable and still participate. You know, I'm not necessarily suggesting no contact, but to understand what the dynamic is, see it clearly, and then go, right, well, what I get from you in the beneficial sense is this, and I'm going to find it somewhere that doesn't also try to sort of drag me down or defeat me or compete with me or whatever. And I think maybe that's why I had to really slate this person and laugh about it a lot, because it could be quite an emotionally devastating situation if I didn't, right? They are naff, but you might still feel quite hurt by this and by the dynamic. And I think Spirit's trying to let you know, if these people are going to consistently hurt you, we will take them away. And this will be the realization point for you, that that's the just thing. And if they're not going to consistently hurt you, and if it's just this one idiot trying to sort of set you up because they don't feel great about the way that their life moved, or their irrelevancy, then, you know, one outcome is that actually these people aren't fooled by it, and you have a really good conversation, and this leather jacket person gets to go and sulk in a corner and sort of lick their wounds, and maybe plot for the next thing, but it'll be even less effective that time around, I think. The Fool. Don't be afraid to participate in this, to take the next step, to jump into a group of people that you don't know that well, to go to the next function, to be around this person, because they are a fool, they are an idiot, but also you have the strength of the divine fool. You have this ability to take risks and to be part of environments adaptively in a way that will negate any attempts against your integrity or your energy or your reputation. So I hope that was helpful to you. If it was, please like, subscribe, ding the dong, thank you kindly. You can book with me in the link in the description, and I do private tailored readings on all kinds of topics. They're all listed on my Etsy. If you want to see me in person, the Etsy Messenger is the way to go about that. And I will be with you with the next word that is relevant to you pretty soon.